For the C&E, I'm using the 3rd grade social studies TEAC 16, Science and Technology and Society. The student understands how individuals have created or invented new technology and affected life in various communities, past and present. The student is expected to identify scientists and inventors, including Jonas Salk, Maria Mitchell, and others who have discovered scientific breakthroughs or created or invented new technologies, such as Cyrus McCormick, Bill Gates, and Louis Pasteur. The objective is, I can identify Maria Mitchell, her discoveries, and how they affected life in the community. The learning objective is, I can explain Maria Mitchell, her discoveries, and how they affected life in the community in complete sentences through a writing assignment. I've also included a why, so I can understand how past inventions and discoveries are still valuable today. In my placement school, the students are used to receiving instruction from the teacher with the aid of PowerPoints. So I've created a Google slide to present the content. We begin with vocabulary. I've included images along with definitions for each of the key terms that will be addressed throughout throughout the lesson. After the vocabulary, I've also provided an opportunity for the students to talk with their neighbors in complete sentences, discussing one of the vocabulary words and what it means. I've also included a sentence stem because the ELP that I chose is cross-curricular secular language acquisition and speaking. The ELL speaks in a variety of modes for a variety of purposes with an awareness of different language registers, formal and informal, using vocabulary with increasing fluency and accuracy in language arts and all content areas. ELLs may be at beginning, intermediate, advanced, or advanced high stage of English language acquisition and speaking. In order for the ELL to meet grade level learning expectations across the foundation and enrichment curriculum, all instruction delivered in English must be linguistically accommodated, communicated, sequenced, and scaffolded, commiserate with students' level of English language proficiency, and the student is expected to share information in cooperative learning activities. So by providing them the opportunity to turn and talk to their partner, they are participating in a community and cooperative learning interactions. And by providing them with the sentence stems, they are encouraged and aided in speaking in complete sentences. Then I transition into actually applying or introducing the objective by making them question, well, what does she have to do with sunspots and comets? We will then read the studies weekly provided for this topic. The students in this class are used to placing their finger on their own copy as the teacher reads it to them. By placing their finger and reading along, I can ensure that they are seeing what is being read as I am reading it to them. After we read, that I will pose the question, based on what you know about the 1800s, why is it important to note that she was a woman? I will call on volunteers and non-volunteers to provide answers to this question and encourage them to do so in complete sentences using the sentence stem provided. After that, I will again allow them another opportunity to turn and talk with the people at their table to answer this question, also including a sentence stem to encourage them and assist them in speaking in complete sentences. We will then transition into thinking about how Mariah's discoveries impacted the world and how she felt when she made those discoveries. I'll be asking the students to put themselves in her place and write a letter. But before they begin, I'm just going to ask them to be thinking about how they think that she might have felt and why. and I do a lot of total physical response throughout my lesson. I hope you can see me. I do a lot of total physical response throughout my lesson. You know, we're thinking, we're not saying anything right now. Remember, we're just thinking about why this is so important. You know, it's maximized. It's so important. And I think that really helps the ELL students as well. After they've had time to think about it, they'll go into I'll have given them paper and they'll actually go into writing their lesson. And for students that finish early, they'll be encouraged to turn their paper over and draw a picture based on the vocabulary that we covered and the images from the beginning of the presentation, from the visuals of what it might have looked like through her eyes. And throughout this, they're putting themselves in her shoes to write a letter to her cousin. And I also know that the expression putting yourself in her shoes might be confusing for ELL students who are very literal, so I scaffold that into we're pretending that we're her and we're writing a letter to our cousin, and that's what it means to put ourselves in her shoes. That way there's not like any confusion, like I'm putting her shoes on. So I think that that's important to address. And also by allowing the students to think for a while and giving them those opportunities to discuss the different questions and ideas with their classmates, those students who might be beginning or intermediate and maybe not so advanced have the opportunity to hear someone else articulate their ideas, and that might help provide them some guidance on how to write their own letter, because they might not know exactly how to put their thoughts into words, but by hearing another student that might be a little more advanced than them articulate it, it provides them that extra support when they go into their independent assignment.